Sports medicine, as such, caters to a portion of the population which has an active lifestyle, and the most special population in that is our athletic population. Overtraining is like some of the chronic diseases that happen in general population. Like you have the hypertension, you have diabetes. So in the athletic population, in our younger population, it is overtraining. So what is overtraining? When you are training more than you're able to quickly recover for it, that is overtraining. Sport is no more the that you go a certain way, like if you're lucky enough you get a medal. No, sport is science, and so is training. So everything that an athlete does on the field is or has to be backed by science.
Welcome to the Garma Avatar Show. In today's episode, I have with me Dr. Khyati Vakharia, a distinguished sports medicine professional with a remarkable journey. She is an MBBS and MD in sports medicine, graduating with a gold medal. Dr. Vakharia is a former international athlete at the Asian Championships and a 7-time national champion in pole vault and athletics. She holds records at the All India University level and national meets in pole vault and has been the national indoor record holder since 2014. Additionally, she has excelled in gymnastics, earning a national medal and participating in the Fit Kid World Championships. Her achievements have been recognized with the Eklavya Award for Outstanding Achievement in Sports and Outstanding Student Award from Bangalore Medical College. Dr. Vakharia has also served as the team doctor for the Asian team at the Asian Athletics Championship in Bangkok. Thanks for joining me, Dr. Khyati. Such a pleasure to have you on my show.
I'm so glad to be on your show, and I'm humbled by the introduction that you have just given, and I look forward to having really great conversation here.
Thanks so much. So you're a professional in sports medicine, and you are also the team doctor for the Indian team at the Asian Athletics Championships. So what is sports medicine, if you were to explain to the general population?
So unlike the other branches of medicine where you deal with certain specific parts, like there's a eye specialist, there's an ENT specialist, there's a heart specialist. So sports medicine as such caters to a portion of the population which has
Yeah.
an active lifestyle, and the most special population in that is our athletic population. So we deal with all the medical conditions, all the sports related injuries of athletes, of recreational players, of the weekend warriors. So anybody who is involved in an active lifestyle, we deal with all the medical and the sport related injuries. uh, the athletic population as such is very special because like if a normal person would to go to the doctor and they would just prescribe the medication without even thinking twice, but with athletes, with sports persons, we have to be very cautious because there are anti-doping regulations. So there are certain medications you cannot prescribe to an athlete. And even if you want to, then there is a special permission that you need to take. So the awareness about what you can prescribe, what you cannot prescribe. There are certain drugs which are really bad for the athletic performance. So things like that, you have to be very mindful about what you're giving your athlete. So it is very different from treating the general population.
Wow, very fascinating. So, what are the injuries that you deal with, and what are the myths around injuries in sport?
So we deal with all sports related injuries of like all the sports. Like every sport comes with its specific special injuries. Like
Okay.
we see a lot of concussion related injuries in boxers, in football players. We have a lot of shoulder related injuries in our overhead athletes, like our javelin throwers, our cricketers, tennis players. Then we deal with a lot of knee ligament related injuries, like the ACL injuries in football players, hockey players, any sport that has a lot of direction change. So that is with badminton players we have a lot of ankle issues. So we deal with injuries from head to toe. Like cricketers come with a lot of back injuries, like especially our medium and fast paced bowlers. They come with certain fractures in the back. So we deal with all sorts of injuries that happen while playing sport.
Fabulous. And can you also tell us some myths related to these injuries? I mean,
So,
uh,
for an athlete, um, rest it out is the worst thing that you can tell them. So, rest is the best, is the worst of it all, actually. So, there is nothing called as a rest for an athlete. So, even when the athlete is injured, we find ways in which they can still continue to train while they are recovering from the injury. We speed up the recovery process of the injury as such, but at the same time, we prevent the deconditioning of the athlete. So the athlete has worked months and years to get to a certain level.
yeah.
And if he were to just rest it out, within 2 weeks, he would lose a lot of it that he has taken months to gain. So you have to be very cautious about him or her not detraining. So we never tell the athlete to rest, even if they're on a walker, even if they are unable to, completely bear weight after surgery. We still find a way for them to train other parts of the body, which are
Okay.
still okay, and have find ways to maintain their fitness.
Okay.
The
Fabulous.
other myth is that like ice.
Okay.
Ice. If there was anybody who is acutely injured, the first thing you do is ice. But beyond 72 hours, ice is not recommended. It was a traditional practice, and but things are changing now to like no more than 72 hours of icing. You move to an optimal loading of the area which is injured. Beyond 72 hours, you give them contrast therapy. You give them a mix of heat and
But
cold.
initially, if you got injured, it's okay to apply ice.
Yes, initially it is okay, but
Okay.
beyond 72 hours, it would not
Then,
be okay. The
okay.
other place where the other place where ice and ice baths have a place is supposing an athlete has a match today and then has another important match tomorrow. So at that point, you want the athlete to recover quickly. So then you put him into the ice bath because at that point you just want him to recover. The when you're tr- where- but when the athlete is training, supposing you have had a strength training session and then you're getting into the ice bath, then you're putting everything that you worked so hard for to waste, because the training adaptations that the inflammation, the muscle breakdown, and the muscle repair would cause is you just destroyed that. So at that point you would not recommend, but there are certain places that you would recommend. But ice being the only solution is a myth.
So can you please tell us something about overtraining? I have heard about it a lot. I mean, so what exactly is overtraining, and how does one come to know that okay, you have overtrained or you've stepped beyond your optimal training level?
So overtraining is like some of the chronic diseases that happen in general population. Like you have the hypertension, you have diabetes. So in the athletic population, in our younger population, it is overtraining. So
Okay.
what is overtraining? When you're training more than you're able to quickly recover for it, that is overtraining. When you're training more or beyond the maturity of your body, that is overtraining. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. Every country faces this challenge.
Okay.
India faces this challenge at a very different level because we have the highest youth population of the entire world.
Mhm.
So overtraining would lead to injuries in the sensitive growth zones of the adolescent or the youth athlete.
Yeah.
And when there is an injury in that critical zone, that would become very difficult to treat. So the athlete will try to recover, but would not recover from it, and then that would lead to a lot of dropout rate of the athletic population, especially in the adolescent age group. Because when you see our adolescent age group, there is pressure of them themselves, like growing,
Oh.
their bodies changing, their perspective about the world changing. So there's pressure of growth, there's pressure of
Hmm.
performance. So at that point, at that sensitive age, you have to know how to train the athlete. So there's something called as a long term athlete development. So there is a certain pathway that an athlete takes to peak at the right age, to make sure he or she reaches his or her full potential.
Okay.
So that is the pathway to be followed. Now, overtraining itself would lead to a lot of injuries, would lead to a lot of dropout rate from the sport, and that is something that you don't want. Now, how you would recognize it is, supposing you have a kid who
Yeah.
is coming and is just tired always. They're not recovering. Supposing you've been training them over a period of time, you're seeing that the kid is not responding in the way that they should. Somebody's performance has increased with your training and then suddenly they just plateau.
Right.
That is an indication. They have feelings of just being sad or life becoming very monotonous, and not feeling happy coming into training. So these are some of the things that would indicate that you're overtraining your the kid.
Okay.
But also there are a lot of blood parameters. There are a lot of those blood tests and everything that we get done also
Okay.
to kind of make sure. But the difficulty with overtraining is you diagnose it in retrospect, as in you diagnose it once it has already happened.
All right.
But your goal is defeated because once it has already happened, it's very difficult to get them back.
Sure.
So you want to prevent it rather than diagnose it and then treat
Sure.
it.
Exactly. Prevention is always better than cure.
Yes.
Can you please tell us about the role of nutrition in sport performance and also rehabilitation from injury?
So there is nutrition for performance. There is nutrition for a rehabilitating athlete. We do deal with a lot of athletes who are post surgery, trying to get back again. So in these athletes, whenever any part of your body is immobilized,
Yeah.
so you would notice that the muscle around the part gets wasted, because the body sees it as this is no longer being used, so I'm going to conserve the energy for the other parts of the body. But with athletes, you don't want them to lose their muscle. For them, muscle is their best friend. So at this point, what can you do to make sure that they still maintain their muscle mass? So you give them good protein diet. Now the challenge with a rehabilitating athlete is, supposing you are not contracting that muscle, the body, as much as protein that you may take in, it may not reach that part. That particular muscle will not take up the protein. So this is something that we call as anabolic resistance. So you, as a sports medicine physician, want to break this anabolic resistance. So one of the proven things is omega-3. So omega-3 helps the protein uptake in that particular muscle. Use even when the athlete is injured or is rehabilitating or is post surgery, we still start stimulating that muscle because we want protein to be uptaken by the muscles around the injured or post surgical site. So that is one of the things that we do. The other modifications we do is the energy expenditure when the athlete is training versus post injury is definitely drastically decreased. So their carbohydrate levels or their carbohydrate intake is reduced a little bit, just enough to recover, but not so much so that they put on weight. So there are certain modifications that we do in their diet so that they don't lose muscle, they don't put on too much weight, and they're still recovering well.
Great. That's I think nutrition is a very important factor in our daily lives, for athletes even more, because as you said, for them muscle is their best friend. Okay, so can you also tell us about science-backed training? I mean, and also sports injury rehabilitation and its future.
Sport is no more the that you go a certain way, like if you're lucky enough you get a medal. No, sport is science, and so is training. So everything that an athlete does on the field is or has to be backed by science. So I still remember some of my mentors telling me, if the athlete is stepping onto the ground,
Yeah.
and if he is walking 10 steps, then you have to justify even those 10 steps. Like, what is your justification to the 10 steps that he or she is walking? So everything has to have a reason behind why you're making a certain athlete do a certain kind of exercise at a certain part of the year. And more so, the training should be science based in the sense that there is kind of efficient training. So there are biomechanical models and if the athlete is following or learning those biomechanical models and learning how to move efficiently, is learning how to do the technique of that particular sport efficiently, then that is the science backed training. So you want the athlete not to just work hard till they just drop dead on the track or on the court, but you
Exactly.
want them to train and do it the most efficient way. So science backed training with like all the testing and what kind of training they have to be on, what kind of diet they have to be on. So there are a lot of aspects to training that an athlete follows, and which is why it takes a village to make an athlete.
Awesome, awesome. So, I mean, do you think this is a regular practice? I mean, our athletes in India, there's this, they're following this kind of science-backed training. I mean, do you think, and what about like, is it prevalent even in not very big institutions? Do you think people are aware about this?
So there are part of there is a part of the population who is doing it well, and then there is another part who is not really, who thinks that doing more will get them more. So there the things are slightly shifting now towards science based training,
Yeah.
but we're not still reached that point where you can say that no, in our country science backed training happens. So we have a long way to go. In certain sports it's much better than the others, but for us to get to that level where we are producing Olympians after Olympians, or we're getting those medals in, is when science backed training happens.
So, are we following, is this science-backed training like similar to every country or every this thing, or are there the programs differently? I mean, is there a science-backed training just for India?
So actually, every sport has different
Yeah.
requirements.
Oh,
Every sport has you know different ways of training strength, different ways of technical training, different aspects of energy systems that are used in training.
acha.
So every sport is different. So when you say science backed training, there is one generalized thing where like sports science comes in, and sports science specifically helps in performance enhancement. And the second thing is how the athletes are training, how efficiently they're moving. So for a football player, the things may be a little different from a track athlete.
Sure.
So with reference to their particular sport,
Yeah.
that is what needs to be enhanced. Like for a football player, like changing directions, they need to be very agile, they need to be powerful, but at the same time they need to be agile.
Yeah.
So their training is much different from a athlete or a gymnast. So every sport has different requirements.
Got it, got it. Fabulous. So, please tell us any of your successful moments as a coach. In fact, anything very memorable that you have.
I think whenever your athlete performs well, I think you kind of you feel like you figure out one piece of that entire puzzle. So
Sure.
it's a very exhilarating experience when you're trying to make somebody do or correct certain things in their technique or in the way they're running, or and finally they understand that and execute that. I think that is a bigger moment than just the medals.
Awesome. Will you like to, kind of say a few words about the current healthcare system in India for sports persons?
So going back to my days when when I used to train, I realized that there was a huge lacuna. There was a huge difference. There was a huge gap between the athlete on the track and the healthcare system.
Hmm.
So I realized, myself, me being a doctor, when I used to train as an athlete, even though I was a doctor, there were a lot of things that I did not understand.
Sure.
And I hoped that somebody would understand my injury, somebody would tell me how I need to get back, what I need to do. And that's where I saw this huge gap between the healthcare and the athlete on the ground. Now my at that point I was like, there needs to be a certain way to fill this gap. and I'm just lucky and I'm glad that I'm in a position where when I used to think that if I get back one athlete from injury back to the track as fast as possible, I think like I would have achieved, like I would feel very happy. And sports medicine does exactly that. It bridges that gap. You are there on field for the athlete, you're there in the hospital, so you're kind of that person who bridges that gap, and tells the athlete, like, this is the way to go, these are the things that you need to do at these times. So that is one of the things that sports medicine does. And at that point we didn't have a lot of institutions that would do this, but today I'm proud to say that we have specialized sports injury centers that caters to the needs of the athlete, everything under one roof. And it's still at very nascent stages, but I'm sure it's going to grow and be all around the country, so that the athletes would not have to travel so much to get help, and help would be provided to them.
So, what's a message to the upcoming young athletes?
My message to upcoming young athletes is, have the passion for sport, but also train the right way, train your age, and there is always help out there. You just have to find it and just excel in everything that you do.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. It was really, really such an eye opener and such a fantastic session. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of the show. Thank you, Dr. Khyati, for joining me in this absolutely amazing session.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you all for listening to today's episode with your host Garam Aftar. See you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.